You're going to need fairly long cordage. This one's about 2.5 feet. So we're looking at about 3.5 feet of cordage is what I'm using right now. And it doesn't have to be very strong. So the cordage itself doesn't have to be very strong. But I would say however long your spindle is, almost double, right? That would be good. That would be more than enough. So what I want to do is, let's do the thumb loop hand drill first. And we'll do not just how to set it up, but also how to create the fireboard as well. So I'm doing a double figure eight, not a figure eight follow through, but a double figure eight. It needs to be big enough so my thumb can fit in it. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. I want to go ahead and put my double figure eight in first. It'll give me an idea of how much cordage I'm going to have left. And the reason I'm using a figure eight, double figure eight, is because it's easy to untie after some load has been placed on it. So I'm going to go under, over, and if I went over, I need to go back through the bottom side so that I don't get just an overhand knot. But this loop needs to be big enough so that I can fit my thumb through it. There we go. One side a little longer, about the size of the loop longer, so about 2 inches. And I'm going to go towards me. I'm making a bight in the rope, so I went from right to left. I'm going to do the same thing again, right to left. So you notice how those look right now. I'm going to take the second one I made, and it's going to go behind the first. And then I can slide that through or over the spindle. Now I want to see how long are these. They're pretty close, so that worked fairly well. They started off where this piece of cordage was shorter, about the size of the loop, which is about 2 inches. But now what I'm going to do is place another half hitch. And I can play around with this until I get those the length that I want them. So I'm bringing it under the spindle and then back through. So that's a half hitch. So I added a half hitch to the clove hitch, and then I'm cinching it down. I'm going to do the same thing since they were already equal. So now I'm going under, back through the top, cinching that down. Smooth down over time as I burn this into the fireboard itself. Now, density of the spindle is important because as this yucca ages, its density is going to decrease. It's going to become more fibrous. Plus, the rate of growth of these can also determine how fibrous it is. I really want really dense yucca. Okay, so I'll burn my little divot in there. So now, actually, I'm going to put it on this side here. So I want to get right in the middle. So you notice I'm starting on top of that divot and then I'm rolling around. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can get it dead center. So now I'm going to take my saw. I'm going to cut that in to create my little pizza wedge. You don't want to go too far because this is going to get wider. It's going to get as wide as this because I don't want it burning through like that one almost did or that one almost did. Real easy for these to burn through, but it's easier to control the downward pressure with this gas pedal hand drill than it is the thumb loop. So you want to take your time when you do this. Don't rush it. It still needs to be wide enough to collect the dust. You want to save time and energy by using some of the dust that you're creating. Even though it's not charcoal-like dust, even though it's not burned, it'll still fill that notch and it'll still carry the coal. Now some of this, I have more over here, so I'm going to fill that notch up just in case when I get going I don't want to stop and I want to keep going. I'll already have that prepped. So this is just other dust that formed from other attempts, other methods that I've been working on. And I just want to fill that notch up. Want the weight of the arms to do it. You don't want too much downward pressure. I just want to see, is dust collecting in there? And yes, I can see that the dust is going in. Just using the weight of the arms. Trying to keep some speed on that. And there we have coal. So if you become really proficient at this, you won't have any problems making a coal. It'll happen pretty quick, especially if you're using a low ignition wood.